Hello, everyone. This is John Hurst, and I'm here with Dwight Gibson, who's Chief Explorer for the Exploration Group. And Dwight and I have known each other for quite a few years. Dwight, it's great to be able to do this interview with you.
Hey, John, great to talk again. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. I've really appreciated, Dwight, over the years your passion and your focus on exploration and helping ministries and nonprofits and others to kind of look into the unknown and imagine what could be. Right, you do such a great job of that, and I think that's a unique contribution you've made. And as I talk with my audience a lot about innovation, I really wanted to kind of compare, contrast innovation and exploration, and broaden our minds a little bit in our thinking about those terms and those ideas, and how we can really benefit from them. So I really kind of wanted to start out by having you describe the exploration process in just a few sentences, kind of what is it that you've honed over the years and how you serve and support ministries?
Yeah, good question, John. So what I found a number of years ago is I looked at explorers, and I'm talking about the Lewis and Clarks of the world, the Thomas Edisons of the world, the Samuel Mills, a great missionary explorer of the early 1800s. When I looked at all of these folks, I saw a similar kind of approach, a way that they looked at things. And in that, here's the core. They pondered, they identified landmarks, and they did orienteering. And let me just quickly unpack that. Pondering was what's going on, asking questions, observing, looking at the history, studying, looking with your eyes, smelling with your nose, just checking things out. What is going on? It could be from being out in a place where you're looking around, checking it out. It could be in a process, but you're trying to figure out what's going on. That's what pondering is. And it's very open-ended. Out of pondering, there's landmarks observed. And landmarks are, what are the insights? What are the facts? What are the knowledge? What are the steps in the value chain? What are those insights that they may have context, they may not have context? So out of pondering, you have landmarks. And then when you start taking those insights, those landmarks, and putting them together, the orienteering, that's the creation of the value chain. It's the new insights that you have, putting them together to take you from where you are to maybe where you've never been before. So pondering, landmarking, and orienteering is the heart of exploration. Now, I won't go into it for our conversation today, but there's the things ahead of that. There's some, what do you expect? There's crossing the crossroads, where you make the decision to change the status quo. You have to do that up front. And then afterwards, you've got some realization, you've got some evaluation. But the core, pondering, landmarking, and orienteering.
Great. And when you talk about pondering, especially, is pondering where the experimentation would be, or is that more landmarking? Like when you're actually trying some new things out, but you haven't maybe picked a direction yet? Where is that happening in the process?
Yeah, that's actually in the orienteering phase. And so in the pondering, you're just saying, what's going on here? What am I seeing? What am I knowing? And it's in the orienteering, as you're starting to check things out. I'm going to try this, or I'm going to try that. Start putting things together. Something may work, something may not work. Probably one of the best known examples, Thomas Edison with his electric light, says that he tried 1,000 different things. Now today, if you were looking at it from a management standpoint, you're saying he failed 1,000 times. Thomas Edison said, no, I learned 1,000 different insights that helped me in other areas of my life. It wasn't what I needed to do the electric light, but I learned with every one of those 1,000 things. So your experiments are when you're orienteering.
Got it. And that pondering is definitely that ongoing learning, that style, and that posture of lifelong learning, right?
Oh, very much so. I mean, I think one of the hearts of exploration is curiosity. You have to have a curiosity to say, what's going on here? But you also have to have the humility to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And if without the humility to say I don't know, you get stuck. And so one of the heart, you got curiosity, but humility is just saying, hey, I got to figure this out.
Yeah. No, well said. Well said. Well, as you know, there's a community that I work with called Innovation and Mission, and we talk a lot about what does innovation look like in the mission context. And I describe innovation as fresh ideas that create value. So it's new ideas, but it isn't just invention for invention's sake. It's new ideas that produce value in the world, right? In the form of, a product, a service, a program, something that people are buying, selling, programs that people are donating money to, that beneficiaries are benefiting from, et cetera. And I'd love to get a sense from you about when you think about innovation and exploration, what are maybe some of the things where they overlap? Maybe where are some of the things where they might be a little distinctive from each other? How have you imagined that as you've kind of developed out some of your ideas?
And as you would guess, John, I've thought about this a lot over the years, and some of this is kind of some nuance of semantics, and some of it I think there are some fundamental differences. So let me start actually with exploration. What I've always observed and seen is in order to explore well, or I'm sorry, in order to manage well, you have to have explored well first. Okay. And so exploration comes before management. Now, what I mean by that is when you're exploring, it's just kind of wide open. Once you're managing, you're more about replicating. You're more about controlling a situation. And as I've observed over time, a lot of innovation starts with a known. You've got a product, and you're trying to make some twists or turns to that product. So you got something that's already known, and you're trying to do something with it. So I think, in my mind, one of the fundamental differences is innovation grows out of management, where exploration grows out of a desire for discovery. And so I think there's two differences there that are kind of fundamental. Again, innovation is needed and exploration is needed, but I think a lot of it depends is where's your starting point. If you, in the case of a missions world, if you already have something that you're starting with and trying to make it better, that's innovation. If you're going into something you've never been before, you got to figure it out. You're trying to discover, and in the discovering, you're then leading to management, which then in turn you're leading to innovation.
That's an interesting distinction. I think, I've heard in the innovation world talk about the difference between like incremental innovation, which is more kind of making something better, and breakthrough innovation, where you're trying to, moonshot, right? Let's imagine a whole new future. And it sounds like exploration is definitely more on that breakthrough moonshot side of things.
Oh, it's very much in the breakthrough moonshot, and I think by and large, when you're doing a moonshot thing, you are you may have a hypothesis that you're starting from, but you're not necessarily starting from a known product. Okay, you're looking to do something totally different, and I think it is, in one sense, you could say the sheer scale of the change is exploration. The bigger the change, the more that it's an exploration, the more incremental it is, or kind of starting in a minimum viable product and kind of going bit by bit from there, that's innovation. So again, as I said when I started, a lot of this is kind of nuance of vocabulary, but for me, kind of the big breakthrough on this was recognizing that there's kind of a locus of knowledge that's a basis of management, and then there's a locus of knowledge that's a basis of exploration, and that's where the fundamental differences happen.
That's really helpful. No, thanks for thinking that. And like you said, there is some nuance of terms here, but there's some helpfulness too, because I found that the analogies or the ways we imagine our work impacts our work, the work itself, right?
It totally did.
And so that has a huge impact. One more question, and we'll wrap up here. If you think about people that are on this watching this video, going, man, when could I use exploration, and what would I hope to get out of it? So, like, if I went through an exploration process as an organization, kind of what would be some of the outcomes that I would hope would be a result of that? What kind of outcomes have you seen from all the different explorations you've done with different groups?
Yeah, good question. You could be a whole new division. For instance, there's an organization that's going along and wants to step into an area, and a whole new division comes out focusing on something. You could see totally different product that appears. You could see, you got me thinking about, we've done kind of 60 plus expeditions over time. New processes that are fundamentally different. You may discover audiences that you just didn't realize you had before. And so I mean, part of the reality of exploration is kind of the sky's the limit. It's very much blue ocean space. What is the possibility here? And if I am open to something fundamentally different, then I have possibilities to discover something fundamentally different. That's what your comment about imagination. It was kind of a throwaway comment you made a little bit earlier, but the full potential of exploration is either enhanced or limited by one's imagination. If an organization says, and the famous story was with, the railroad question from many years ago, are we in the railroad business or are we in the transportation business? And if railroads had recognized that they were in the transportation business, we may have, Penn Central Airlines today, but instead, we have Pennsylvania Railroad that no longer exist. And we have totally different entities that are, and so I think part of that's an imagination issue. Blockbuster and Netflix are probably the most recent one. Blockbuster said, who's going to ever want to stream these things into your home? That's crazy. Well, if they had stepped into the entertainment business instead of the CD business, we'd probably have Blockbuster on our, televisions today instead of Netflix.
Oh, good examples. Yeah, imagination is so critical to being able to think in new ways, because we have to suspend judgment, as my friend Rob Wassel says, and you have to suspend judgment and imagine a different future, right? A different reality.
Yeah, and you also have to imagine a future where your current way of doing things may no longer be the way of doing things. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of my overtime, when I've been in various situations, job situations, and kind of back before I started in consulting, I always, if we're going to lay somebody off, we're going to lay some people off, I always put my name on the list first, because I have to be willing to sacrifice my job if I'm really open to what's best for the organization. Because if I say, you know what, the only way that this is going to work is that if John is still here or if Dwight is still here, I've limited the imagination and I've limited the possibilities.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. Well, hey, if they want to get a hold of you, what's the website they can go to?
Yeah, thank you. Exploradelphia.com. You hear the word Philadelphia, but Exploradelphia, EXPLORADELPHIA.com. Or you can look up Dwight Gibson, the Exploration Group, and that'll send you there.
Great, and we'll send a link in the newsletter as well, so they'll be able to get to it. So, great, Dwight, thanks so much for having taking some time to be here with me. I appreciate you answering those questions and giving some insight.
Always good to talk, John, and you're welcome to come here to the bank anytime.
Definitely. Next time I'm in Philadelphia, I'll stop by. Thanks so much.
Thank you.